Good afternoon, everybody. I am decorating a new set here. This is going to be called Beach Boy because it's kind of a beachy theme, more boyish in style. And so this set is going to be available. I have a new section on my website where you can order take-home kits and that are already themed. You've always been able to order the kits that you can design yourself, customize yourself, but now I have these sets that I'm doing, and you can watch the videos here on Facebook if I'm at a workshop and I'm doing it live, or like today I'm home and I'm just recording the video as I decorate the set that I'm going to take pictures of, and then also I'm recording the video to upload to my YouTube channel. So this set has a watermelon, a pineapple, a beach ball, 2 surfboards, and a little shark. So let's get started. So on this kit, you're going to have several colors. You're going to have green and watermelon, sky blue, navy, yellow, black, orange, and white. And you'll get a thick white and then a thin white. So those are the colors that we will be working with. When you order the kit online, you can also request a scribe tool if you'd like. And I'm going to be using an edible marker, and so you can also pick up an edible marker from my store here in White House, the Cookie Decorating Studio. And I'll also post a link where you can order these on the website, but you can also pick these up at any kind of craft store or Walmart. They usually have these edible markers of some kind. This is just the brand that I carry at the store. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of draw out with this marker the designs here. If you don't have an edible marker, you can just fast forward till I get to where I'm starting to outline. But first of all, I'm going to draw out the beach ball. And so I'm just going to, up here in the top third of this round cookie, off to the side a little bit, I'm going to just draw a small circle. Okay, and then from the circle I'm going to draw a line out and then out that direction there, and then I'm going to go opposite of this and swing it around like so. And actually this one probably should come up a little bit more like this, now that I think about it. There we go. And then I'm just going to do one more this direction here for the little beach ball. Okay, so then on my pineapple, if I don't drop the cookie, this is going to be a cute little pineapple that's wearing some little glasses here. So in this little indentation, I'm just going to draw a straight line across. and then another straight line across, and there's little knobs on the side here. And then this is the middle portion, so I'm just going to do a little line in the middle, just kind of a guide. And then on one side of it, I'm going to come down, and I'm going to swing over, and then back up. And you can kind of see a little indentation here in the cookie. So that's what you're aiming for. So I'm going to go down and over and then back up. Okay. And then I'm going to come in a little bit and do another little line. Okay. Then up at the top, I'm just going to kind of swing up a little bit. And then I'm going to come up here, and you can just do like a little straight line for a guide. And then on either side of this straight line, I'm going to come up and I'm going to swing into this first little point for the first leaf. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to swing up into that side leaf there. So now we've got a good idea of how we're going to decorate this cookie here. And then the next one is going to be this little watermelon. So it's going to be pretty similar to the pineapple. It's got these little indentions on the side here. And so I'm actually going to come up above the indentation. I'm going to do a line across. And this is above the little point here on the sides of the cookie. And then where the little point is, I'm going to drag it across. Okay. And this is going to kind of be more of like a little angle right here. And then again, I'm going to just try to find the middle, put a little marker there for a guide. And what I'm going to do here is there's a little indentation at the bottom, and I'm going to start here at the bottom, and I'm going to swing it up and aim it there. And then again, where this little indentation is, I'm going to swing it up, and I'm going to try to keep it about the same distance from that point so that the point stays in the middle. And I actually could probably swing it a little bit over on both of those, like that. And then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to outline the frame. It's really good to do this first with a marker so that you can kind of get the layout pretty even. And you can always make adjustments later when you're doing your icing. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put the rind of the watermelon, so it's going to swing in, it's going to come around. Up through the rind of the watermelon behind those glasses there. Looks a little weird right now. Okay, so there's the watermelon. And then we're going to do our shark here. Alright, so on the shark, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a circle right here. So you're going to use this section up here and the bottom kind of as your guide as you go around and create this circle. So I'm going to start up here. And you're going to come down. And then you're going to go out over here and back up to draw out your circle shape. Okay. And again, you can always adjust with your icing. And then you're going to come down a little bit more than halfway. And it's going to look like you're just drawing a big old smiley face. And then you're going to come down in here. I'm going to draw out the mouth. And you can come in here and kind of draw out your fins if you want to. You don't have to draw these out, but you can if you want to. And then of course you can come in here and do your little fins too. We're going to do all of this with the icing though, so. But that's the shark. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of draw out a couple of designs on the surfboard. So this first one here, I'm going to do like a little bit of a half circle here on the side. And then from that, this little half circle, I'm just going to draw out some straight lines that come off of that. And they're going to start close together and then kind of fan out as you work your way around to the outside of the surfboard there. Okay, scoot these over so I can move these a bit. And then our next surfboard, you might want to turn this one sideways. It might be a little bit easier. And what we're going to do here is there's a point here, and we're going to come down below that point, and we're just going to do a line across. And what we're going to do is we're going to start here at this point. We're going to come over and swoop down. We're going to swoop it back up like that. Then we're going to come around and do the same thing. We're going to sweep it around and back up. And we're just going to continue that pattern. I'm just going to create some little waves here. And you can always go in and make adjustments if you need to. Okay, so when we go in with our icing, that'll be just a guideline for our little waves on our surfboard. Okay, so now we've got everything outlined. Go. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just kind of outline everything with our icing first. And so I'm going to go back over here to our first one that we outlined, which was the beach ball. And I'm going to take my thick white, and if you get the decorating kit at home, you're going to want to have some wet wipes or a wet paper towel so that you can kind of clean these bags. Now this white has already been cut, but what you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of scissors, and you're just going to cut the tip of that. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and we're going to squeeze out that thick white, and we're going to outline the circle. And we're going to go ahead and outline this top section here. And then go ahead and outline the next section over. And if you need to make adjustments from where you outlined, you can do that now with your icing. And then you're just going to go ahead and outline each section of your ball, your beach ball, with your white icing. And you want to leave some space. I think I'm going to make 2 sections here. So I'm going to just adjust this a little bit. I'm going to bring this one down a little bit more. There we go. That'll work. And then I'm just going to go all the way around. And outline that with the white. Okay. Then the next one I'm going to outline is going to be the surfboard. Alright, so on these little lines here, I'm going to do every other section in the white. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go to the next one. And sometimes the icing breaks, just go over it again, it's fine. Okay, so this is an example of where I would use my scribe tool and just scrape this one off and redo it because my icing was not cooperating. Okay, I'm going to skip that one and do this one here. And then finally, this last one here. Then I'm going to take my other surfboard . Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to outline this right hand side all the way down. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here with my white. And I'm going to create these little waves. Yeah, I got kind of choppy there, didn't I? Let's scrape that off. So now my outlining is done in my white. And so now I'm going to take my pineapple and I'm going to take my yellow icing and I'm going to cut the little tip off the bag here. And so what I'm going to do on my pineapple is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to outline where the top of the glasses are. And I actually probably need to cut my bag a little bit more. And then I'm going to go up and do the top part here. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline the inside of the glasses here. On both sides. And then again, if there's any sections that you weren't happy how you drew it out with the marker, this is where you can just fix that with the icing work. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline the bottom section here with the yellow. Okay. Now while this icing is still wet, I'm going to actually go in here and flood this yellow. And then to get it to smooth out, I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm just going to come in here and agitate the surface to get it to smooth out. Same thing on the inside of the glasses. I'm just going to go ahead and flood this in. On both sides. And then smooth it out with my scribe tool. And then the bottom section, I'm just going to flood this in. And then I'm going to smooth it down with the scribe tool. Okay. All right, so next I'm going to take my, let's move this out of the way. I'm going to take my light blue. Let me move this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this in my navy blue. So I'm going to take my navy blue and I'm going to open the bag up with my scissors, just cutting the little tip off here. And I'm going to take this surfboard with the waves and I'm just going to outline the other side. So you want to hold the bag up off of the surface of the cookie so that a thin line can fall out. And then I'm going to connect the bottom. And then while I've got this navy blue, I'm going to go ahead and take my beach ball. And I'm going to go ahead and flood this bottom side here with some of the navy. And I'm just squeezing it out at the top of the bag. Okay, and I'm going to take my scribe tool and just kind of agitate the surface and then kind of push that over my outline a little bit. You can just kind of go over the outline with that blue, just to kind of cover it a bit. And you can do that while the icing is still wet. Okay, then I'm going to take my white that's got the yellow tag at the top. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a mix to make sure it's good and mixed up. And I'm going to cut the tip off. And on this little section here of this beach ball, I'm just going to do a little dot. Well, I'm going to cut a little bit more because I didn't cut it enough. So while the blue is still wet, I'm just going to do a little dot of white. And then I'm going to drag out a little bit on top of that for a little reflection. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here onto my surfboard and I'm going to flood in this side here with the white. So I'm going to just flood all of this in with the white icing. And I can see I've got a few little air bubbles, so I'm just going to go in and pop those with the scribe tool. I'll go ahead and get it all the way flooded in. And then I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm just going to come in here and pop these little bubbles. And I'm just going to let that set for just a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and take my other surfboard. And I'm going to go ahead and flood all of these little sections here that I outlined in white. So again, I'm squeezing at the top of the bag. And I'm just filling all of this in with the white icing that's the flood consistency. Okay, and then I'm going to take my scribe tool and just kind of push that around into all the little tiny spots that it didn't quite connect to. And then of course if you see any little bubbles, you can take care of those like so. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to take my little shark here. Move this out of the way. And I'm going to take my light blue and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a mix just to make sure it's mixed up real good. I'm going to cut the tip off, and then I'm going to come in here. This icing is a little bit thinner than what I've been using. So what I'm going to do, the first thing is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to cut it a little bit more because it was a little bit too thin. So I'm going to squeeze and let that icing fall out into a thin line. And then I'm just going to guide that line around my circle that I drew out. Okay. I'm going to smooth this down a little bit right here. And then I'm going to draw this line here. Just guide that icing as it falls. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this section here. And then you can go ahead and outline your fin at the top. And then your two little side fins here. And then the main body and tail. All right. Now while that icing is still wet, I'm going to take my black, and I've already cut this black. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to fill in this mouth area with some black. And then I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm just going to kind of push that around a little bit into these little corners. Okay. I'm going to come back over here to this surfboard and I'm going to take some orange and I'm just going to mix it in the bag a little bit to make sure it's good and mixed up. And then I'm going to cut the tip of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to outline this outside edge with some orange. I'm just going to go right up next to these little white sections and connect that orange outline so that it makes a good connection. Well, get over there. There we go. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to outline this middle section, and I'm going to kind of go right up next to that white. And I'm going to go ahead and flood this in with some orange. So I'm going to go ahead and flood that in and just make sure it's all good and connected right there. And then if you need to take your scribe tool and push it up into the little middle portions, it may have been hard to get to with your icing bag, go ahead and do that. And we're going to re-outline all of this once it dries a bit, so that's what it should look like for right now. Then we're going to go back to our first surfboard here with the waves. We're going to take that dark blue and we're going to come in here and we're just going to fill this in with that navy blue. And I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom first. Okay, and then each one of these waves, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to push that navy up in there in that section that we left open. I'm going to swing it around and create that little wave. So you want to go ahead and push it right up next to that white icing. Don't be afraid of that because we have let it set up a little bit. So go ahead and fill it all the way in and then come back with your scribe tool. And you can come in here and agitate the surface to smooth it out. And then you can also take it and pull it down a little bit more to create that wave section. You can just kind of pull that down a little bit into that white. Okay, so just come around and just kind of pull it down into that white a little bit to create the tip of the wave. See that okay? Let me turn it a little bit. So I'm just kind of pulling it around and pulling it right on top of that white there. To create our little surfboard with waves. Isn't that cute? Okay. So we're going to jump back over here to our shark. My wipes don't want to. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my white flooding consistency and I'm just going to flood this bottom section here. And you might have to just flood as much as you can with the bag and then go back in with your scribe tool to get it up in these little spots that it maybe can't quite get to with the bag. Just take your scribe tool and push it up into these little crevices and corners. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and grab our pineapple here, or not pineapple, but our, what is this thing? Our watermelon. I couldn't think. And then we're going to take our watermelon color. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix it up real good in the bag. And I'm going to cut the tip off. And so I'm going to come in here on my line that I outlined. Woo, it's dripping. Okay, come in here and I'm just going to drag and drop a thin line of icing. And then, like I said earlier, if you weren't happy with how you outlined, you can fix that here with your icing work. So we're going to outline that, and we're going to go across the top. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and outline above the glasses. And we're going to go and outline inside the glasses here. And then this little section here. Okay. And then while it's still wet, we're going to go ahead and come in here and we're just going to flood these sections. And so I'm giving it a good squeeze at the top of the bag. Okay, and then I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm just going to kind of agitate the surface here to get that to smooth out. And the same thing on these sections here. We're going to go ahead and flood those in. And then smooth that all out with your scribe tool. I'm making a mess over here. Let that kind of set up a minute, and then we're going to get our pineapple here. And we're going to take our green. I'm going to mix it a little bit in the bag, and then I'm going to cut the tip off. Alright, so I'm going to turn this little guy upside down. It's a little bit easier for me to get to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline this little section here in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and just flood it in at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and just flood this section in. And I'm just going to do that first leaf here. make sure it's connected to the yellow here. And I'm just going to use my scribe tool to make sure it's shaped the way I want it to be. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of let that one be there, and then I'm going to go back over here to my surfboard that's orange. Get another wipe for this green here. Alright, so then I'm going to go back to my surfboard, and I'm going to take my orange, and I'm going to go ahead and flood in these little sections here up next to the white. So I'm just going to come in each one of these little sections and flood these in with the orange. And then if you need to get your scribe tool and push that up into these little areas, I'll break any little air bubbles up. Okay, and then we're going to let that set up, and then we'll re-outline here in just a little bit. Alright, so let's go back over here to our little beach ball. And I'm going to take my white flooding consistency, and I'm going to go ahead and flood in this top section here. With some white. Flood in this section here with white. And I'm probably going to have to get my scribe tool and kind of push that into that little tight spot at the bottom here. There we go. Alright, so then I'm going to come over here to my shark. this light blue, I'm going to go ahead and flood in the top half up here of the head with this blue. Take my scribe tool and I'm just going to smooth all that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and flood in these bottom fins down here. And then I'm going to have to use my scribe tool to get that into those little tiny spots. It's a little small little area, so it's kind of hard to get it up in there with the bag. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here to my pineapple and my watermelon, and I'm going to take my black and I'm going to go ahead and outline the shape of my my glasses here. I'm just going to go in here and give it a good outline with some black icing. The top section, and we're going to do both top sections here. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom. Just giving it a good outline first, and I'm holding that bag up and just guiding that icing as it falls. And then we're going to do the same thing over here on our little watermelon. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and flip this pineapple around again. Take my green. And I'm going to go ahead and do these next two side leaves here on the pineapple. And then we'll go ahead and fill those in. So I'm probably just going to leave a little bit of space since I'm flooding these immediately. And it's such a tight little spot. So I'm just going to lay down quite a bit of green, and then I'm going to come back in with my scribe tool and push it up into these little areas where I want it to go. Okay. I'm going to flip it back around. And I'm going to go ahead and take my black and I'm going to flood in the top. And my little glasses here. Take my scribe tool and I'm just going to kind of push that around a little bit to get it up exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to go over this little section. Sometimes when I'm filming and I can't quite see if I'm making that connection because I'm kind of at an angle. And then I'm going to do the top section over here on my watermelon. And then my scribe tool and just smooth it out. Okay. So then I'm going to bounce back over to my beach ball. Take my yellow and I'm going to fill in this little side up here by the blue, between the blue and the white. Just going to squeeze this out a good amount. Fill this in with some yellow. Okay. I'm going to take my scribe tool and smooth that out. Uh-oh, I still have a little bit of black on the end of that. Alright, now come in here and smooth this out. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and take, I guess you could either do orange or the watermelon color, just depends on which one you want to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the watermelon color on this, but you could do this in orange if you wanted to, no problem. So I'm just going to come in here and flood this with the watermelon. It's almost red. It's such a dark, deep color. It could almost pass for red. So sometimes in these little areas, it's really hard to get it in these little points. So it's really good to take that scribe tool and just kind of drag it down to make that little connection there and that little point. And then you can also kind of push it over your little outline that was white if you need to get it to make a good connection. Okay. And then we'll come back in a little bit and fill that little middle part. So I'm going to bounce back over here to my shark. And I'm going to go ahead and flood in that top fin. And then I'm going to flood in the tail. And then again, you can use your scribe tool to make any little adjustments that you need to, and pop any little bubbles that you might see. I'm going to take a little bit of my white here, and I'm going to do just a little bit of a reflective white down the back side here. Just add a little detail. Okay. I know we're bouncing around a lot, but I have to let portions of it kind of crust over before we move on. So that's why I kind of bounce around. Alright, so then I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to flood in my glasses on my pineapple. And we're going to do the same thing on our watermelon. I'll go ahead and flood in the frames on the glasses. starting to look super cute. And then of course, if you see any spots that you need to, you can use your scribe tool. Push the icing where it needs to go. Alright, we're getting close. So I'm going to go ahead and do these last leaves over here. So I'm going to flip it around because it's just easier for me to get to. Come in here with the green. I'm going to go ahead and let that set just a second, and I'm going to come over here on my pineapple and I'm going to do a little outline in the green here on the edge at the top, and then down here at the bottom. Same thing, just kind of come in here. Do a little outline in the green. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. And again, I'm not going to over flood this. I'm not going to fill it completely. I'm just going to kind of put enough to where I can take my scribe tool and push it around where it needs to go. So I'm just going to kind of cover that for the most part, and then I'm going to take my scribe tool and push it up into these little spots. Okay. So I'm going to kind of do that here on the green. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to just kind of fill this in for the most part, and then take my scribe tool and push it into these little areas. I'm going to do these top two sections first. So I'm just trying to be careful because these are small areas and I want to be careful not to overflow. Because I'm flooding and outlining at the same time, so that what that does is it doesn't have a line on the outside. It all looks smooth all the way to the edge for the most part. And so again here I'm going to go ahead and push it up next to that, and then I'm just going to fill it in, and then my scribe tool, push it into these little tight places right up next to that black. Okay. And then I just need to fill these little sections in here with that green. So I'm just going to squirt out, I'm going to press out a good amount, and then I'm going to take my scribe tool and just push it gently with the needle into these little areas here. Okay, same thing on this side. Take my scribe tool and just kind of pull that green up into this little area. Finish that off there. All right, and so now I'm going to go ahead and go back over here to my little surfboard. And I'm going to take my white that's thick, and I'm just going to re-outline. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to outline over the edge of this circle, which was the very first thing we started off with. So I'm just going to outline that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and re-outline these lines that come out away from that circle. Kind of missed that, didn't I? It's kind of hard to see. I'm gonna go over that one more time. Have a little bit of orange peeking through. All right. So that finishes off that surfboard. So with that same thick white, I'm just going to, actually, you know what? Let's do that light blue. Let's do the light blue in the middle of this. That'll be cute. Just going to fill this in with some light blue right there on that center on this beach ball. So I'm just going to cover up the outlines a bit. Okay, and that'll finish off my beach ball. Okay. So, let's go ahead and on our shark, I'm going to take my thick white, and in here I'm going to do some little teeth on the shark. So I'm going to squeeze and pull down some little teeth. So I'm just squeezing and pulling it down. Little top teeth. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to do some little bottom teeth. Shark here. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my black and I'm just going to do some eyes. So I'm just do circles, 2 circles here with the black. And then if you need to take your scribe tool and get those the same shape and size. I'm also going to take, I'm going to move this because I'm done with this one. I'm going to take my pineapple here. And I'm going to do 2 eyes here. On both sides. And again, if you need to take your scribe tool and help them out, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do the same thing on our little watermelon here. I'm going to do 2 eyes. So I'm just going to come in here and do 2 circles. And your scribe tool. Get them to be about the same size and shape. Okay. Also, if you want, you can do some little eyebrows here. Do that here on your shark. And your little watermelon here. And give him a little smiley face. Alright. A little smiley face on our pineapple. You can do 2 little dots here if you want to for your shark, or his little nose. And I'm going to take a little bit of my white, and I'm just going to add some white dots here into my circles of black. Here at the bottom. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do is on my watermelon. Is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my little watermelon seeds. I'm just going to squeeze out and pull in. Squeeze out and pull in. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm just going to use my scribe tool to kind of help shape those up a little bit. So it can be a little bit bigger. Alright, so that finishes up this cute little set. So again, I'll be posting pictures of these here in a little bit once they dry up a bit. And this will be my next workshop, and then I've got another workshop that's going to have a girl pineapple, a girl watermelon, 2 hibiscus flowers, a bathing suit, and I think it's a beach ball. I don't remember. Or maybe a flip-flop. I don't know. Anyways, it's a girl set. Like this one. So, thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all have a great Sunday afternoon.